Russia's alleged bombing of Poland's embassy in Kyiv represents a grave escalation in the ongoing conflicts, sending ripples of heightened tension across NATO and the broader European continent. This incident, occurring amid a massive Russian assault that injured over 80 people across Ukraine, has ignited global outrage and intensified fears within Europe. The targeting of a diplomatic mission, even if unattended, carries significant weight under international law and could be interpreted as a direct challenge to a NATO member state. Such an event demands careful scrutiny and a unified response from international bodies to prevent further destabilization of the region. The sheer scale of the Russian attack, which left dozens wounded, underscores the indiscriminated nature of modern warfare and its devastating impact on civilian lives and critical infrastructure. The consistent threat posed by Russian military action, encompassing both direct strikes and potential spillover effects, has prompted a reevaluation of security strategy across Europe. In response, the European Union has begun discussions on implementing a drone wall, an ambitious defensive measure aimed at protecting its border and airspace from similar incursions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urgent appeals for more stringent sanctions against Russia highlight Kyiv's unwavering resolve to secure greater international support and to further cripple Moscow's ability to fund and sustain its military operations. These combined efforts reflect Europe's growing determination to forge a robust and unified front against Russian aggression, emphasizing both defensive measures and economic pressure to deter future hostilities and safeguard regional stability, further solidifying Moscow's commitment to its military campaign in Ukraine. Russian Vladimir Putin signed a decree on Monday ordering the conscription of 134,000 men for military service between October and December 2024. This directive not only expands the draft age to 30, but also introduces tighter restrictions on citizens summoned to duty, signaling a comprehensive effort to replenish and bolster Russia's armed force. The increased age limit and stricter enforcement mechanism suggest that Russia is facing considerable strain in maintaining adequate troops numbers, indicative of the high attrition rates and resource demands imposed by the protracted conflict. This conscription drive will undoubtedly exert additional pressure on Russian society, potentially leading to increased public discontent, evasion of military service, and a further brain drain as individuals seek to avoid deployment. The international community, particularly Western nations, view this move as further evidence of Russia's intent to prolong the war and escalate its military effort, reinforcing the imperative for continued military and financial aid to Ukraine. This decree also raises profound questions about the long-term demographic, economic, and social consequences for Russia, as a significant portion of its male population is now subject to military service, impacting various sectors of the economy and potentially stifling future growth and development. The broader implications of such a widespread mobilization extends to regional stability, as neighboring countries and international observers closely monitor Russia's capacity and willingness to sustain a large-scale military presence. Adding another layer of complexity to the geopolitical landscape, Russia has issued a strong rebuke following U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance's confirmation that Washington is actively considering Ukraine's request for long-range Tomahawk missiles. The Kremlin views the potential deployment of such advanced weaponry as a direct and dangerous escalation of the conflict, expressing profound concern about Ukraine's capacity to operate this sophisticated system independently, and questioning whether U.S. personnel would be directly involved in their operation. This potential transfer of long-range missile represents a significant red line for Moscow, which perceives it as a direct threat to its national security and an unacceptable expansion of Western military involvement in the conflict. The debate surrounding the provision of Tomahawk missiles underscore the delicate balance of power and the inherent risk of further internationalizing the war. The U.S. consideration of this request signals a growing commitment to enhancing Ukraine's ability to strike deeper into Russian-held territory and disrupt critical military logistics, thereby shifting the strategic advantage. However, such a decision carries substantial geopolitical implications, potentially provoking a more aggressive and unpredictable response from Russia, which could lead to an expansion of military operations beyond Ukraine's current borders and an intensification of proxy warfare. The Kremlin's explicit questioning of Ukrainian operational capacity also served as a thinly veiled warning, implying that any direct involvement of U.S. personnel would be met with severe and potentially escalatory consequences, further deepening the geopolitical standoff. Concurrently, President Volodymyr Zelensky, addressing the esteemed Warsaw Security Forum, issued an impassioned plea to Nato and the European Union, urging them to recognize Russian drone and missile strikes not merely as attacks on Ukraine, but as direct threats to the entire European continent. He called for the establishment of a joint shield against Moscow, emphasizing the need for a unified and collective defense strategy to counter the pervasive threat. In a parallel diplomatic maneuver at the United Nations, Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov delivered a stern warning, stating that any act of aggression against Russia would be met with a decisive response, thereby further inflaming tensions between Moscow and the West. These contrasting diplomatic engagements underscore the profound and widening chasm between Russia and Western powers, with both sides articulating firm resolve and expressing deep-seated concerns over perceived threats and escalating military action. Zelensky's call for a joint shield reflects a growing desire within Ukraine and part of Europe's for a more integrated and coordinated defense mechanism, moving beyond fragmented national response to a truly collective security approach against Russian aggressions. Lavrov's warning, articulated on a global platform, reinforced Russia's unwavering determination to safeguard its national interests and to deter any perceived infringement on its sovereignty, further entrenching the current geopolitical stalemate. This diplomatic dance of warning and appeal highlights the urgent need for de-escalation, yet simultaneously reveals the deeply entrenched position that makes a swift resolution to the conflict appears increasingly remote, fueling a cycle of mistrust and competition that continues to destabilize the global security architecture. The persistent bombardment of cities like Belgorod, as described by Governor Vyacheslav Gladkov, further demonstrate the brutal reality on the ground, where civilian populations bear the brunt of retaliatory strikes. 2 missiles barrage, including a reported Hamas strike on the city's thermal power plant, caused widespread blackout and water shortage, illustrating the devastating impact on essential service. The destruction of civilian infrastructure, homes, and vehicles, alongside numerous casualties in Belgorod and nearby Kazinka, paint a grim picture of the conflict's human costs. Such incidents not only fuel global outcry but also underscore the desperate need for effective protections for civilians caught in the crossfire, further emphasizing Zelensky's urgent calls for a robust joint shield to prevent similar tragedy across Europe. If you have made it this far, congratulations, you have unlocked the truth. I want to ask you a quick question. With a Russian missile striking a NATO embassy and Russian jets repeatedly violating the airspace of member states, do you believe the alliance's current response is a strong enough deterrent, or is it only a matter of time before a direct NATO-Russian confrontation is triggered? Join the debate. We want to hear your insightful opinion on where this is all heading in our community. Share your thoughts in a comment below. Like the video, and most importantly, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.